So let's recap, because we started off the episode telling people like, hey, we're going to give you a game plan for how to buy a house. And in the next 90 days, here's what you should do. So we've talked about that, but I want to recap it just to make sure people got it in their heads. Okay. So let's kind of go back over that. So one, we said talking to a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Right?
That's going to make life easy for sure.
Getting your 1, 3, 5 year plan, understanding like what is it, the goals, what do you know, is buying a house now going to help you in 3 years? Or what kind of house should you buy? Like, hey, do you want to have a real estate portfolio? Okay, it might make sense to buy a house that makes sense as a rental, as your first house, instead of maybe your dream house. Maybe you don't care about investing and you're like, yo, we have the money now. The interest rate fits what we can do. Let's buy our forever home now. Like, whatever, you know what I mean? You're going to have kids and you're planning on having a bunch of kids and back to back, then hey, it might make sense to go ahead and buy your big home now, right? So understanding what your 1, 3, 5 year plan is. Okay. We talked about like managing debt. So your car, you know, not buying the fanciest car on the market just because you can afford it. So thinking about, we talked about like your mindset, you know, you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. So thinking about, should you buy a house in maybe a developing neighborhood that maybe is going to have more appreciation value and not necessarily buying in the sexiest neighborhood. But again, that's about your lifestyle. What do you care about? What's your 1, 3, 5 year plan?
What your goals are,
Do you want to have an apartment type lifestyle? Well, maybe it makes sense for you to buy a condo. You know what I mean? Because you still get the gym and the pool and the, you know, all the cool amenities.
Next to the city too. And
you're in the city. So it might make sense to buy a condo. Okay, do condos appreciate as much as houses? Maybe not, but maybe you don't care about that, right?
Yeah. So some people just don't care. They're like, let me live my life. Let me just do it. I'm like, great. If that's your choice, great. My job is just give you the best advice I can. And if you take it, great. If you don't,
if I was a young professional in maybe the medical field and the sky is the limit for me, I would probably maybe make a decision like living in a condo or, you know, buying maybe, you know, a nice townhome early on because I know my earning potential is only going to go up. Like if you're in an industry like that, then it might make sense for you to just like live it up.
Yeah.
Buy a house in your mid 20s or your early 30s and do the thing, right? But just understand what is the plan, right? And understand like, hey, how am I going to get my money out of this? How am I going to sell this house, right? That's really important. Talked about, you know, getting a good lender that's going to actually explain the process to you, build a tailored, specific relationship with you, right? So that like once you start the search, you don't have to spend 9 months looking for a house because you kind of already know. You really shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Especially
That's a pregnancy. That's a pregnancy.
Yeah.
A whole baby's born in 9 months.
Yeah. So we're in the Houston market. There is a ton of new construction in Houston. There's a lot of activity. The market here is very stabilized to some degree because of our job market. Like there are good jobs in Houston. People in Houston are still hiring. There's good jobs here. So ideally, it's stabilized our economy. And so I think a lot of things people see in the news aren't necessarily always true of the Houston market because like there's just, you know, you have a lot of options here and you even have some there's a lot of affordable options. When we say affordable, I mean like, you know, like low 300s to high 200s. That's kind of like affordable in my mind.
There's so many. And and the thing is, people aren't willing to drive that extra 10 minutes from work for the affordable, which is fine. Like, if you want that closer drive, then hey, you might have to rent. But if you're cool with that extra 10 minutes, then get the home.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave earlier. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So understanding those things, and then obviously getting a great realtor. I got you covered on that. Don't worry. Is there anything else that I missed in terms of, okay, if you're looking at the next 90 days, how much does the election impact, you know, where you think interest rates? Do you think that really is something people really should be thinking about? Or is that like kind of just like one of those things that it's a mental thing for people?
I don't know why everyone's like, this president's going to do this president. No matter what, like rates are going to be more lined up with the job. Like, and again, I'm not the biggest expert on it. I usually reach out to my boy or not, so he helps explain it to me. But it's not connected to the election. Like you're going to see the trends. It goes up and down, up and down.
Okay.
It's like whatever the job labor rates are, employment rates are, inflation rates are. It's more connected to that and the 10-year treasury rates. Right. So however those are going, that's how rates are going to be. And with how Jerome Powell's sharing the information, it's going to be more according to that. Yeah. And it's not dependent on the election.
Gotcha.
And in my opinion, again, I'm not the.
Yeah, and based on kind of what I'm seeing from, you know, Kamala or Trump, both of them seem to have housing as a high priority. So I genuinely feel like the next 4 years is gonna be a positive environment for real estate. I think that, you know, housing and affordability is on people's minds. You know, at the toppest level of the government. So I genuinely feel like this is going to be a good time to buy a house. You know what I mean? And so it basically kind of just based on your situation, when does it make sense? I don't think it ever makes sense to try to wait for the best interest rate. I think you have to just go off the best situation because y'all can make it work based on what your payment. It's like going to the car lot to some degree.
Yes.
Like the car guy, whatever you need your payment to be, the guys at the car lot will make it happen.
Yes.
I promise you, they will make it happen.
They'll
to get
give
you to
you
buy
a
the car.
100-month game plan.
Yeah.
Here's a 100-month car payment.
Exactly.
want at 200? Great. So it's up for 100 months.
Yeah. So these mortgage guys, they want the same thing. Now, obviously, there are different. Like, it's a little bit more stringent than getting a car.
Yes, there's laws and regulations. We have to do it legally. Yeah. We have to do it right, and it has to be according to investors' guidelines. So we can't do stuff like that. But like I said, we have so many banks with so many different programs. There's gonna be a way to make it work.
Oh yeah, there totally is. There totally is. Okay, anything else that I missed?
Man, you were on top of it. But yeah, when it comes to a 90-day game plan, as long as you, unfortunately, a lot of people come to me like, hey, I got 2 months left on my lease, and then they find out. It's kind of like going to a doctor's office. You're filling out that form. You think you're 200 pounds. You think you're 6 feet. Yeah. But then once you step on the scale, you get measured. You're 5'8". Yeah. And you're 240. Yeah. So it's like, ooh, we're a little off. We're a little off, buddy. And usually people come to me like, dude, my lease is ending in 2 months. Can you help me? And I'm like, 9 times out of 10, it's a yes, but like, let's go through all your paperwork. Yeah. You told me your credit's 700, it's a 600. We can still make it work. Yeah. You told me you make $8,000 a month. It's more like $6,000 a month. We can still make it work. And you told me you got $5,000 and it's really $2,000. I'm like, okay, like here's the options we have. If you called me at that 6-month period that you know your lease is ending, I could have gave you a strict game plan of, hey, you just follow this, and 90 days before your lease ends, we can get you that home. Great. Okay. But the thing is, I think people reach out to you and meet too late, or they reach out to you probably 2 months before, like, yo, Michael, hey, my lease is ending. Yeah. They're increasing rent. Let's go check out homes. Yeah. And of course, my realtors, partners like you and everybody else, they get excited, and then they come to me and they're like, hey, they want to put an offer. I'm like, wait, they want to put an offer? We didn't even get them pre-approved. Yeah. Like, let's go back. Let's get them pre-approved before we put the offer. That way you don't waste time. And I think people just hit up too last minute. Okay. So, of course, 90 days minimum, right? But anything more than that is better. Yeah, okay. Well, there's one thing that I think is also important. This is kind of some game that I think is going to be, like you said earlier, keep telling people what they want to hear and also what they need to hear. Yeah. This is a need to hear thing, okay? So take this with a grain of salt, and depends on your financial situation. But if you are a DINK, which means dual income, no kids, which I'm very happily in that category right now. But I would challenge you to try to live off of one income. So if both people in the relationships have a stable job, pick the person who has the lowest income and try to build your lifestyle around that person, and use all the money from the second person's income to invest in your future, invest in the house. That's what me and my wife did for 2 years, and it freed up a lot of cash. Now, I will say, like, we weren't going on all the fanciest vacations. We didn't have the nicest cars, but like, we were able to have disposable income to be able to like buy a car cash and like invest in our future and our, our Roths, and like make all these moves that give us a really strong foundation. So again, it's why like it was like a 14-day process to find our house, because we like, yo, we came to the thing, like we were flexing. I'm like, yo, what do we want? This is what we want. Let's do it, right? And because we built our life that way. And I would say that this works no matter if you make $50K a year or you make $200K a year. Like you can figure this out. And again, that's why talking to a financial advisor makes sense. Talking through even a financial coach, somebody who's maybe not an advisor but can help you think through those things. Okay, how do I build a lifestyle in Houston making $60K a year? You can do it. It's possible. It's very possible. And on top of what you said, like the lowest income and the most stable income, like whoever has that W-2 job that's gonna make that paycheck, they're fine. Yeah. Dude, that's a game changer. And that's what me and my wife implemented on our first home. Yeah. And that's the only reason we were able to afford our second home, was just, hey, we stuck to it. Yeah. We're like, hey, all our expenses are near income. And since we're the entrepreneurs, some months are good, some months are bad. Exactly. So I'm like, let's not buy a home that's out of our budget. Let's just make sure it's on your income. We're fine. And God forbid that, hey, something happens to you and me, we can't do our business for a month or two. Yeah. We're fine. Our wives are blessed with a good job. They're fine. We can make ends meet. We might be not eating a restaurant or two, but that's fine. We put it on that type of game plan, and we're fine. We're set about exactly. What's your 1, 3, 5 year plan? Write it down. I have a spreadsheet where I wrote down my goals. I forget about the spreadsheet a lot. I'll go back to that spreadsheet like once a year, and it's crazy because I wrote it down and we've been hitting our goals every year. And there's only one goal that we haven't paid off my car. Okay, that's the one goal that we haven't paid off yet. And we just haven't got to it yet. But it's like, that's the one, but all the other goals are like, we've hit. And I'm like, wow, it's crazy. I wrote it down and we've just been working the process.
You know what I mean? So that's another sneaky game plan. Living off of one income, if you're in dual income, if you're single and living by yourself, like you can adopt that same thing and just find a way to find, okay, what's the minimum that I can live off of comfortably. I'm not telling you need to eat off. You need to eat ramen, right?
You don't have to. You can still live comfortably.
But I'm saying, like, what's the minimum that you can live off of and still have a decent lifestyle and still save what you can. And so I think that'll really help.